Hello, I'm Rabbi Abram Goodstein of the Congregation Beth Shalom, and I gave this sermon on April 2nd. During Passover, the Torah portion of the week takes a vacation. Instead of one Torah portion this week, each day gets its own unique portion, and these portions are either in Exodus or in Numbers. And tonight, the seventh day of Passover, is officially a Yom Tov, a holiday, and its unique portion is back in Exodus, right after the Israelites leave Egypt, up till right after they cross the Sea of Reeds. Now, this portion is famous for two reasons. This is where Moses splits the sea, an iconic scene known almost throughout all of Western society, and it's the portion where we find the Song of the Sea, which is a really famous poem. And these two things tend to overshadow what I would consider some other really incredible developments. The first development, which some people are aware of, is that the Israelites are being guided by something called a pillar of smoke during the day and a pillar of fire during the night. And I can barely fathom what this looks like. And most artistic renderings of this is essentially a huge column of smoke or fire as high as the eye can see, going a specific direction. Moses may be guiding the Israelites, but really, all he is doing is following the pillars while the Israelites are following him. And of course, we assume that everyone can see these pillars of fire and smoke, but maybe only Moses can see them, which then to the Israelites, he is guiding them. The next development is rather famous. Pharaoh changes his mind and wants the Israelites back. Now, the Torah is clear here that Pharaoh is not changing his mind through his own cognizance. In fact, none other than Adonai is manipulating Pharaoh by hardening his heart, as the Torah describes it. And God is quite upfront as to why God is doing this, so that God will gain glory through Pharaoh and his army, and so that the Egyptians shall know who is Adonai. And even though this will absolutely terrify the Israelites, it seems worth it to Adonai to remind the Egyptians who's boss. The Israelites have not been fully briefed of this plan and are understandably upset when they discover that not only is Pharaoh's army, including 600 elite charioteers, coming straight at them, but that Moses and his pillar of smoke have led the Israelites to the bank of the sea. And the Israelites find themselves trapped just because they followed God's instructions. And they argue with Moses, a pretty airtight case, that why would God deliver the Israelites from slavery only to have them killed at the bank of the sea? And to the Israelites, this made little sense. God, apparently unfazed by the Israelites' emotional distress, continues to work one miracle after another. God casually demands to Moses to continue walking forward as if God does not see a body of water in the way. And when Moses replies, God, I would love to, but we lack a certain capacity to breathe. If you remember, says Moses, you made us that way. Or at least that's the way I imagine Moses put it. Only then God thinks to tell Moses, oh right, if you lift up your rod, the sea will split, of course. And while details are limited, I can only imagine Moses offered an epic eye roll in this reply. But before Moses can do anything, God continues making miracles. Here, for the first time, we discover that the Israelites are not only being led by a pillar of smoke, but they're also being led by the angel of death. And just as we are processing this new information about the angel of death, God moves this angel and the pillar of smoke to the back of the Israelite camp. Ostensibly, God is maneuvering God's assets to thwart the oncoming Egyptian army. And while all of us Torah readers are trying to picture how this looks, the Torah continues and announces that the pillar of smoke makes the area as dark as night, and the Egyptian soldiers can no longer see each other. Apparently unfazed, the Egyptians continue to catch up to the Israelites, who are at this point all traveling through the split sea. And when all the Israelites have completed the journey traversing through the Sea of Reeds, it seems as if Adonai has the Egyptians exactly where Adonai wants them. And God then locks the wheels of the Egyptian chariots, another miracle, and asks Moses to close the sea back up with the Egyptians still trapped. This, of course, destroys the Egyptian army, and the Torah describes how the Israelites saw this, and as if they are not convinced before, believe in the power of Adonai. And there is no further mention of this angel of death, but I imagine the angel had his hands full when the Egyptian army was underwater. And while I admittedly retold this story in my own cheeky way, I wanted to highlight that what we are seeing here is the cost of slavery and the price of freedom. Adonai may not be a terribly communicative benefactor, but God is necessary for the Israelites to escape. We see God subvert the rules of nature to both protect the Israelites and remind them of Adonai's power. And certainly the story presents the odds for the Israelites are so far-fetched that nature needs to be subverted for them to survive the Egyptians. However, I would have loved to have read a story about the Israelites saving themselves. Slavery for the Israelites damaged their capacity to believe in themselves. The rest of Exodus, the rest of the Bible, isn't just about God trying to convince the Israelites to be monotheists, but trying to convince the Israelites to believe in themselves. The Israelites do not need any other deity to help them achieve greatness. But as we read the Bible, we see a people who often suffer from low self-esteem. They make many, many mistakes, I believe, due to the lack of respect, not just for Adonai, but for themselves. And Adonai gets super annoyed with the Israelites again and again. But Adonai also chose a people that are collectively damaged from their experience as slaves. And while we can nitpick Adonai's anger or the Israelites' failings, I think it's important to look at the Torah's greatest success. Thousands upon thousands of years after these events occurred, we are still talking about it, reliving it, in fact, through our Passover Seder. Perhaps this success is more than just the longevity of our tradition. Perhaps this success is the wisdom and compassion we gained from suffering through this incredible adversity. Thank you.